It feels good to be back in the saddle, sitting here in a parking lot off of the highway. So we're so excited to go on a ride that we hopped on our bikes immediately, like, eat fast, let's go, let's go, let's go. Right? But it's next Monday, and that ride is called Scenic because we're going to go to the Palisades Parkway, and from there there's a scenic overlook and you can see the whole New York City skyline, which is pretty. And the not so scenic part, he said, is Nathan's, but it is scenic because it's Coney Island, the famous Coney Island. It's always an adventure, and I'm happy that you guys are here with me, and thank you so much for the views and the likes and the comments. And here we go, we're gonna take off. And we're gonna go to Matt's house. He invited us over for drinks, and I'm not a big drinker anymore. I was just talking about this with Arnold. When I was younger, I did drink. I also used to smoke, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I have to work on eating, because I know that what I was doing was using smoking as a coping mechanism and drinking as a mechanism, and now food, I'm using it to like numb myself, and that's not good. And food is so good. 1 second, I just gotta close this and close my visor, and let's go. So that was funny. I'm like, wow, Matt said he was gonna be late. I don't remember exactly what it said on the post. Something like the ride is gonna be a little later, something like that. So I saw that and I thought maybe I missed the original post that said, like, for example, oh, the ride is kickstands up at 6 p.m., but then it was changed to 7. I'm like, maybe I missed that part. So I just kept getting ready to go. And we're here. And you know what they say, right, Arnold? Can you hear me, Arnie? Arnold's here on the Cardo. It's not going to be a ride to a destination that we were planning, but even getting on your bike is better than a day not on your bike. Something like that, right? So here we go. So here we go. It's not going to be such a scenic ride because we're just going to take the Southern State Parkway just straight. And sometimes you just have to do it. I'm not about this parkways and highways and things like that, but point A to point B, the fastest route to get there is usually on a highway. But next week we'll do that scenic ride. Not so scenic, Nathan. So I'm glad we're out. It's Monday, and last week, I don't know, I was feeling out of sorts and a little anxious. And I started working again, and we're just working at 50% capacity of staff. And it was fine. And in the beginning, I was very nervous to be there. And I was a little anxious, and I was feeling a little guilty for being anxious because all of this time my husband's been working and going out into New York City and being in the middle of that, especially when there were the protests and the riots, and it was scary for him, scary for us, because there were times where he would call me on the phone when he was leaving work, walking to the subway, And I'm like, just stay on the phone with me. It's a solid white line, Arnold. He would stay on the phone with me, and I'm like, where are you now? Where are you now? Just because it was so scary those days when the riots were going on. So, like I said, I felt guilty. Here we go. I'll change for you, Arnie. So, I felt a little guilty for being stressed out for going back to work. So I apologize for that. But then after that, one day I went to run some errands, and on my way home, I was driving my car. Well, it's like a crossover, and I see a kid sitting in the middle of the street, like with his legs straight out and sitting and like leaning back like that. And I'm like, what is this kid doing on this main road, laying in the street? Sitting, sort of. I move over to the right of the thing, and I see a motorcycle underneath a Jeep. I was like, oh my God, no. So I pulled over, and I go over there, and I'm like, does anybody call 911? And the two kids that were in the Jeep in front of him said, yeah, we're good. Like, almost saying like, yeah, we're good, leave. And I was like, what? So I go to the guy who was laying on the floor, and I said, are you okay? They are calling 911. Do you need me to call anyone? And he said, I don't know any of the phone numbers by heart. They're all in my phone. And he showed me his phone was smashed. So there was nothing we can do. And I'm like, he was like wincing and like groaning in pain. And I'm like, oh my God. And I didn't know if he saw his leg, but you could see the tendons and the bone was sticking out. And he's like, oh, it hurts so bad. And I was like, take my hand and squeeze it. And he was squeezing. And then he said he stopped. And then after that, he was still in a lot of pain, of course. And I'm like, just punch me in the face or something. Like, I didn't know what to say to relieve. Like, you want to relieve someone's pain? Oh, there goes my camera down, recording my knee. Oh my God. I'm gonna keep going because, like, whatever, who cares? Maybe you guys want to see my knee. Hold on. I have cruise control on, so I can at least... Alright. The thing is loose from the screw from the windshield. That's the part that's not tight. So I'm like, back to the story, which is whatever. So I'm like, just punch me in the face. And he's like, I'm not gonna punch you in the face. But he was worried, and he's like, can you go with me to the hospital? And I'm like, of course I would. But I was like, okay. When I heard they said we're going to take you to Jamaica Hospital or South Nassau. South Nassau is closer to me. South Nassau is the hospital that I mentioned in my 1 or 2 vlogs. That was where Arnold had his heart surgery, and which is close. So I was like, okay. But then after when the EMTs arrived and the fire department and everybody showed up, he was like, you don't have to go with me. But I would have if I had to, you know, if he had nobody. And anyway, he is fine, thank God. He got 66 stitches, and he had his motorcycle. This was the third day with his new bike, and he's like, my bike. And you know what? I use the word, that F word that everybody hates that I use. I'm going to try to stop using it. I'm like, F that bike. You're alive. Who cares? He's like, but I just got it 3 days ago. And I looked when I did come onto the scene. I did see it, and I'm like, wow, the tires still have the lines, like they're brand new. The tires aren't even broken in. But it was the person ahead of him kept hitting on the brakes, and then the Jeep in front of him, and he decided to change lanes, but he didn't expect that Jeep in front of him was going to do the same thing. And the reason why I'm telling you this whole story is that why I've been like a little stressed out is because when I saw that like freaked me out a little bit, to tell you the truth. And when he told me later, when we spoke on the phone, he said that he was wearing a full face helmet, so that was amazing. I'm like, that helmet saved your life. He asked the EMT, like, I want my helmet, get me my helmet. And the EMT woman said, that helmet is garbage. And he's like, what? Like, he got personally offended by it, but I explained it to him later. Your helmet did its job, it's done, it's garbage. It's garbage because you can't rely on that to save your life again. Hold on, put cruise control again. Straighten this thing out again. Okay. So he had taken it as like a personal offense that she said your helmet is garbage. It wasn't a garbage helmet, it was a full face, it was a nice helmet. But he said when he hit the front brake, he went down, and he said that his helmet protected him because he felt his face hit the right rear tire, and from there he bounced, and his helmet, he said, went halfway up, and then he saw the undercarriage of the car and his head hit the muffler. Oh my God, and that's when the helmet flew off. So that helmet saved his life. The only reason I believe that he had that injury on his leg was probably because he was wearing like those Adidas sock sneakers, and maybe if he had boots on that would have prevented that. I don't know, but he's one lucky dude. So that kind of like spooked me out, because Saturday my group went on a ride, and I'm like, I'm gonna stay home. Then Sunday, Father's Day, Arnold and I are going to my sister's house for a barbecue, Father's Day backyard celebration, and we're in the car minding our own business. We're at an intersection where I graduated high school. So it's Broadway and East Rockaway Road. So it was a red light, so we stopped, and then the green arrow changed to make a right. So we make a right, and we're like crawling. We're probably going like 6-7 miles an hour. I mean, you just from a stop to make a right. And out of nowhere, well, we saw later, from Broadway, she also made that right. But that's a one-lane road. She made it enough to go around us, but then when she was over the line and coming with the oncoming traffic coming towards her, she went to cut us off to not hit the car in her big giant Ford 350 Super Duty. I think it was a 350. It was huge. It's like a tank. She clipped us, and we just saw the truck, like I saw the truck go like here, and I'm like, but it was we were going so slow. She was going fast because she was headed towards a call. But that shook me up, and my reaction was to get my phone, to get out of the car, to record. I did a video of her truck to see that the damage was from the middle of her truck back, and it clipped the front of our car. So that was a little scary, those two things had me like a little spooked. But thank God nobody was hurt. I mean, Rich has stitches, but he's okay. A motorcycle can be replaced. Our car is gonna be fixed. Whosever fault it was, it would get fixed anyway, and nobody was hurt. But today when we went to the auto body place, the insurance determined that it was 100% her fault. And you know, she was ambulance driver. I guess they're an EMT. And when she was there, she was like, okay, so when that happened, we had to pull over. Arnold was kind of pissed. They got out of the car, both. She got out of her truck and she's like, are you okay? And we're like, yeah. But when we got out of the car, it was like they were both angry at each other at the whole situation. Arnold said something, I don't know what, and she's like, say it, say it. She's like, say it, say it. Oh God, I'm like, oh man, these guys are gonna argue and fight. Well, say it, say it. Arnold's like, you cut me off. And she's like, blah, 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 I don't know, whatever. I'm like, okay, that's it, stop talking, that's it, it's enough. And then the police showed up. Of course, it's Nassau County EMT, our local precinct. The chief had to come, like the lieutenant. Oh my God, everybody was there. We were like, wow. And it was pretty messed up, but thank God nobody was hurt. And the point of this whole thing is that had me like a little nervous. So today, Arnold said, do you want to go on our ride? And our ride that we take is the North Shore ride. It's beautiful, but it's technical. And I was like, you know what? I'm trying to chill right now. Oh God, what happened here? Police. You'll see when oh, it's a funeral. It's some kind of military funeral because the guy had like those little berets, not berets, but those little like caps, like military. Oh man. So that had me a little shaken. Oh, we're making it right. And now we're here with Matt. So thank God everybody's okay. But that was pretty shitty. So here we are. Matt's house is up ahead. He invited us over. So anyway, we're approaching his house. He was laughing hysterically when we were like, hey, where are you? And we realized that we're a week. Oh, I didn't recognize the house because they changed the siding. I'm using my motorcycle as like one of those wheel camera things. Anyway, short and sweet vlog. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.